Shalom, Brother Donal.
Shalom, Brother Azrael.
Back at you again with another 30 for 30. This is day 6. The topic we're going to be going in today is who are the Gentiles in the New Testament, right? And it's important to know, especially when you come into the truth, that we don't get these things misconstrued, right? The word Gentile, right, it really only means nation, right? And when you look at it, anybody can be a Gentile, technically, right? So who are these Gentiles in the New Testament? Now, coming off of Christianity, they'll tell you that a Gentile is anybody that's not an Israelite. But we're here to tell you that that's not the case. As an Israelite, so-called Black, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we got to understand that this whole book was written to us, about us, and for us, right? Let's get that real quick. Romans 3 and 2.
This is the book of Romans chapter 3 and verse 2.
Read.
Much every way, chiefly because that unto them...
Go to Romans 3 and 1. Start at 3 and 1. It's like it.
Romans chapter 3 verse 1. What advantage then hath the Jew?
What advantage is it that you're a Jew, right? And then when we talk about Jew, right? Of course, we know the context of so when we talk about Jew, right? In the New Testament, a Christian will be quick to go to there's neither Jew nor Gentile, right? And they classify in that context all the Jews being of all the Israelites, and all the Gentiles being everybody that's not the Israelites, right? When you look at that word Jew, depending on the context, right? You have to read for context. Depending on that context, most of the time when you see that word Jew, it's going to mean Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, right? And it's talking about the southern kingdom or the kingdom of Judah, right? So it says, what advantage has the Jew, right? And this is really speaking of Judah, Benjamin, Levi, but not just Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. It's talking about the end all be all when we're all going to be under the kingdom of Judah essentially, right? So it's talking in this context, it's talking about all the Israelites, right? And what does it say? Read it again from the top.
Romans chapter 3 and verse 1. What advantage then hath the Jew,
right?
Or what profit is there of circumcision?
What profit does it take, right? What profit does it bring to be a part of this covenant? Read.
Verse 2. Much every way.
And much in every way.
Chiefly because that unto them were committed the oracles of God.
Right. The oracles of God is this book, right? This Bible, right? It was committed to us, to our forefathers to pass down. Even before it was written, it was passed down oracally. You know what I'm saying? This whole thing was for us. Let's go to the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 1. So we got to deal with the New Testament. You know what I'm saying? We got to deal with the New Testament. Let's go to the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 1. Now, a lot of times what Christians love to do, right? They love to say that the Gentiles in the New Testament are non-Israelites and they're being grafted into the same covenant as the Israelites, right? And they can be saved with the Israelites, get the same equal salvation as the Israelites, and that's just not true. And we're gonna go through and we're gonna rectify and debunk that whole concept of the Gentiles in the New Testament being solely the heathen or the other nations, right? Let's go to the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 1 to get some context, right?
This is the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 1. Moreover, brethren, I would not that ye should be ignorant,
right?
How that all your fathers were under that cloud and all passed through the sea, and were all baptized unto Moses in the cloud and
Read that
in the
again.
sea.
Read that again. Read it right.
Moreover, brethren,
right?
I would not that ye should be ignorant.
So first of all, he said, moreover, brethren, right? We're going to go to the verse that classifies who his brethren is. This is Paul speaking, right? We're going to go to the verse that classifies who his brethren is. Matter of fact, get that real quick in Romans 9. Hold that and get Romans 9, right? So when you read this Bible, it's like in a Rubik's Cube, man. You know what I'm saying? It's an algorithm. And they use words, and you have to know the meaning of these words. This is why it's important to get the milk, right? Because within the milk, within the law, you get certain concepts and certain fundamental principles that will allow you to carry those same concepts to the New Testament so you won't be lost, right? So you won't be relying on your own interpretation, right? So who are these brethren that Paul is speaking of? Let's go to the book of Romans chapter 9 and verse number 3, right? Go ahead.
This is the book of Romans chapter 9 and verse 3.
Read.
For I could wish that myself were accursed from Christ.
From who?
For my brethren.
for his brethren,
my kinsmen,
his kinsmen. If you know what your kinsman is, it's the same thing. Like when you go to if one of your uncles or one of your cousins said, "What's up, kinfolk?" You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing. Your kinsmen, is your people of your own flesh. Read.
According to the flesh.
According to the flesh.
Who are Israelites?
So his brethren, according to the flesh, his kinsmen, his brethren are Israelites, right? This is in the New Testament. And we have to acknowledge this. We can't just throw this scripture away. You know what I'm saying? We have to acknowledge this. Now go back to 1 Corinthians 10 and 1 and read from the top.
This is the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 1. Moreover, brethren, I would not that ye should be ignorant.
He doesn't want you to be ignorant, right?
How that all your fathers were under the cloud.
No. Read it again. Read it right.
How that all our fathers.
All of our fathers, right? All of our fathers. This is another key point of emphasis, right? So we know that he's talking to his brethren, which are Israelites, and that all of our fathers, so his fathers and the audience's fathers, were all the same. They have the same forefathers, right? And what did their forefathers do? Read.
How all of our fathers were under the cloud, and all passed through the sea.
Right? What is he talking about? It's talking about back in that, when the Exodus happened. When Moses led their forefathers through the Red Sea. You know what I'm saying? That only happened to one nation of people. But he's in the New Testament talking to the Corinthians, right? At the church of Corinth. Surely this must be heathens. Surely this must be other people that aren't Israelites. But how can you be not an Israelite and your father went through the sea? It doesn't add up, because these are Israelites. Keep reading.
And were all baptized unto Moses in the cloud and in the sea.
And in the sea, right? They were led by a what? Pillar by day, fire by night. You know what I'm saying? And that pillar and that fire, that pillar was a cloud. You know what I'm saying? So, moreover, his brethren are Israelites, and all of their fathers, Paul's fathers and the audience fathers, right? All of their fathers passed through the sea. It was none other than the Israelites. Let's go. And now that we got, and I wanted to go to 1 Corinthians 10 and 1 for context, right? Because we have to keep everything in the book of Corinthians in context, right? So I'm going to start at 1 Corinthians 10 and 1. So when we get to 1 Corinthians 12 and 2, we have no other choice but to have this same principle that was in 1 Corinthians 10 to apply it in 1 Corinthians 12. So let's get 1 Corinthians 12 and 2, right?
This is the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 12 and verse 2.
Stop right there. And so before we even read this, right, we already acknowledge that the audience that he's talking to are Israelites, right? It's plain upon tables. So let's see what he's going to continue to speak to this audience. Read.
This is the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 12 and verse 2. Ye know that ye were Gentiles.
Ye know that ye were Gentiles, right? But I thought once a Gentile, always a Gentile. I thought the Gentiles were everybody outside of Israelites. So how can you be something other than a Gentile, right? Because keep in mind, these Gentiles are Israelites. Read it from the top again. I'm sorry.
Look at 1 Corinthians chapter 12 and verse 2. Ye know that ye were Gentiles,
right?
Carried away unto these dumb idols.
Unto these dumb idols.
Even
right?
as you were led.
Even as you were led. Read that last part again, because this is the thing, man. When you read the Bible, you have to go precept upon precept. Like I said, it's always an algorithm. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. You know what I'm saying? You got to go here a little and there a little and match it up, because nothing in the Bible is going to contradict itself, and it's all going to support the same message, right? So read that last part again.
Carried away unto these dumb idols, even as you were led.
Right? So keep that key phrase in mind. Carried away into these dumb idols as you were led, right? And now we're gonna understand where Paul got that from, right? Because he got that from somewhere. He got that from the Old Testament, right? There's a phrase out that says, man, the New Testament hits hard coming straight out of the Old Testament. Because the New Testament is just reiterating everything from the Old Testament, because the message has not changed. Why? Because God does not change. Let's go to the book of Ezekiel chapter 14 and verse number 5. Right? Ezekiel.
I was about to get a precept real quick.
What's the precept?
The precept also goes into who Paul was talking to, you know what I'm saying, in the book of 2 Corinthians, right? And who he claimed to be, right? That would be his brethren. So this is how we know, you know what I'm saying, the brethren that he's talking about that said were Gentiles, right, are Israelites, right? This is the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 22, right? It reads, "Are they Hebrews? Question mark. So am I.
So is he.
Are they Israelites? So am I.
So is he.
Are they the seed of Abraham? So am I.
So is he.
Are they ministers of Christ? I speak as a fool, I am more, in labors more abundant, in stripes above measure, in prisons more frequent, in deaths often," right? So who is he talking to? The people that's in prison. You know what I'm saying? The people that need to hear the word, that are called Gentiles, that were carried away to their dumb idol.
Right. Give me Ezekiel 14:5, and then reread that last part in 1 Corinthians 12:2 before you get Ezekiel.
All right. You said Ezekiel 12 and 14 and 5.
Yeah, my bad. Ezekiel 14:5.
All right.
And then go back to right before you read that, read 1 Corinthians 12:2, the last part again.
1 Corinthians 12:2. Ye know that ye were Gentiles carried away unto these dumb idols, even as ye were led.
Right? You know that you were Salakia. You were Gentiles carried away to these dumb idols as you were led. Now let's get Ezekiel 14:5.
This is the book of Ezekiel chapter 14, verse 5.
Because we got to understand, right? Paul, even Christ, got everything that they were saying, right, from the law and the testimonies, which is the Old Testament. Everything that the message that they were preaching, it did not change. And throughout this video, you're gonna know exactly that, right? Let's go read
the book of Ezekiel chapter 14 and verse 5. That I may take the house of Israel in their own heart.
Right? The house of Israel, right? You got to keep it in context. This is who he's talking to, the house of Israel.
Because they are all estranged.
What does it mean to be estranged, right? It means to be alienated, right? To mean to be, to basically, essentially, to be cut off, right? If somebody was estranged from me, I've cut them off. Like if somebody was in my circle and they're estranged from me, we no longer hang out no more.
This is the definition of estranged.
Read.
No longer close or affectionate to someone. Alienated.
So read that from the top one more time.
The book of Ezekiel chapter 14 and verse 5. That I may take the house of Israel in their own heart.
Right.
Because they are all estranged from me through their idols.
Through their idols, right? Let me see. It's 14:5. So we were estranged from him. Why? By going to these idols, right? That it just said in 1 Corinthians 12:2 that we became Gentiles because of those same idols, right? So this is the same concept from the Old Testament to the New Testament. From the Old Testament, he's telling us what was going to happen to us, that we were going to be estranged from him by giving heed to these idols. In the New Testament, it's fast forwarding to where we're already estranged from him, right? And Paul has to let us know, be not ignorant, right? This was spoken about before, that you were going to be estranged and called Gentiles because of your idols, right? Let's get the book.
And also, I was going to add to this also. You know, I had somebody send me a video, and he sent me, he's not in the truth, but he likes, you know what I'm saying, it intrigues him. And we all got friends like that in the truth that, you know what I'm saying, kind of beat around the bush, poke a few leaves off every now and then, try to cast you on fire, you know what I'm saying, just to see if you could put yourself out, make you tempt the Most High God. But, you know what I'm saying, as it was said on the top of that mountain to Satan himself, hey, look, thou is written, we should not tempt the Lord thy God. But anyway, he sent me a video, and this brother said, well, and basically the video that he sent me was a brother, right? It was an Israelite. I could tell because he had the rosy cheeks, you know what I'm saying? He had the features of an Israelite, you know what I'm saying? I could tell that he was just lost and he thought he was Egyptian, right? So he brought me some kemet, you know what I'm saying? And the dude was saying, you know, we lost our heritage. We're really kings. What makes us kings is our melanin, you see. And what gives us our melanin is the sun. And the sun gives us our power. And the people in Egypt, they was tapped into the sun. So that's how they knew who they are. And they knew that they were gods. And that's the son of Ra. Hey, we was carried away to these dumb idols, right? Like the heathen. Those are the ones that carried us away. We was carried away captive, right? And we adopted the way of these heathens, man. So we think we're Egyptian. We celebrating the sun. We worshiping the sun. We thinking that the sun. I said, I said, not so. I said, man, this man is wrong. I said, don't listen to this video. I said, because we worship the one that created the sun. We don't worship the sun and the moon and all these little, you know what I'm saying, things in heaven.
That's all we want to do as a people, man, is run with the multitude to do evil. You know what I'm saying? And we by nature just love doing that. We love grasping cultures that's not ours, right? School just started back up. I guarantee you they're going to get a whole bunch of our so-called black, Hispanic, and Native Indians, right, to pledge all these Greek organizations, right? Pledging allegiance to these Greek idols. You know what I'm saying? And that's what makes us Gentiles.
And that's what makes us dumb. He said
right.
We carried away to these dumb idols.
These dumb idols, right? Why are they dumb idols? Because they can't do nothing for you.
They can't do nothing for themselves.
Right.
Right? The Most High tells us in the Apocrypha, man, and in multiple books, you know what I'm saying, how dumb these idols are, right? These idols can't clean themselves. If a house is burning, they can't rescue themselves. You know what I'm saying? These idols are dumb. The sun can't tell you that he's not gonna shine today. You know what I'm saying? The Most High God makes the sun not shine. The Most High God makes night and day. You know what I'm saying? The moon can't tell you, you know what, I'm going to be full today and tomorrow, you know what I'm saying, I'm going to be half. No, it goes through cycles. Why? Because it's been preordained by the Most High God.
You know what I'm saying? When all hell break loose, right? Say we seen that picture of that flood happening, right, in India. And all of them was carrying their so-called gods on their shoulders. Shouldn't your so-called God be carrying you out of the calamity? It's all backwards, right? And giving into these things, Hinduism, Buddhism, the Nation of Islam, even Christianity with the worshiping the wooden cross, right? You got the dead white Jesus on your neck. All of these things are dumb idols, right? That we were carried away to. And it was prophesied from old. Let's get the book of Ephesians chapter 2 and verse number 11.
This is the book of Ephesians chapter 2 and verse 11.
Read.
Wherefore remember that ye being in time past Gentiles in the flesh.
Right? Where he just told us in Corinthians, now he's telling us in Ephesians, right? You were Gentiles, but now you're coming back to the faith, right? You're putting them Gentile ways up off you, right? Because that's what we did when we became Gentiles. We weren't actually heathens, but we took on the ways of the heathen, making us to be the embodiment of a heathen or of a Gentile, right? Read that again.
Wherefore remember that ye being in time past Gentiles in the flesh,
right,
who are called uncircumcision by that which is called the circumcision in the flesh made by hands.
Read that straight again.
Wherefore remember that ye being in time past Gentiles in the flesh, who are called uncircumcision,
right,
by that which is called the circumcision in the flesh.
Who was given that first covenant where you had to be circumcised physically with the hands, right? The circumcision of the flesh. It was none other than the Israelites. So how could he be talking to heathens? You know what I'm saying? Let's get some more clarity on the whole concept of circumcision, because what Christianity and Christians like to do, right? They'll like to tell you, well, now other nations can be grafted in to Israel, right? Because it's not about that physical circumcision of the hands, but it's about the circumcision of the heart, right? And we see that all throughout the New Testament. But what a lot of people like to neglect the fact that this same principle of circumcision of the heart is found in the Old Testament, right? Let's get that real quick. And first let's get Colossians 2 and 11. I'm sorry. Let's get Colossians 2 and 11 first.
Hold this.
Yep. Hold. You talking about Ephesians?
Yeah.
No, you can drop Ephesians. Get Colossians 2 and 11.
Also with Ephesians, what I wanted to bring out, what was just read was, it says they were called Gentiles by those that kept the commandments. You know what I'm saying? So the difference in Gentile and Jew in the New Testament is those that keep the commandments and those that don't. You were called a Gentile by those who were circumcised. And why were you called a Gentile? Because you were uncircumcised. You know what I'm saying? In the flesh, made by hands. So in the physical, there's a way to tell you, you know what I'm saying, how you're a Gentile. In the spiritual, there's a way to tell you how you're a Gentile. You know what I'm saying? And so that's another key point that, you know what I'm saying, look at. You said Colossians 2 and 11.
2 and 11. And it's also important to realize, man, because we get tied up saying, those aren't Israelites, those are Corinthians. You know what I'm saying? But people don't understand the significance of suffixes, right? You got prefixes and you got suffixes. At the end of the word, it's letting you know where that word is conceptualized in, right? So when you have the word Corinthian, right, it's not saying that they were not, they can't be Israelites. To be a Corinthian just means that you're from Corinth, right? Just like we can be Israelites in America, but still be considered Americans, right? So that suffix "an" is just saying that's you belong. You don't belong, but you are residing in, or you're a citizen of that landmass, right? And then, so when you look at the prefix of "ite," like Israelite, that means the son of, right? Or or a descendant of, or somebody that you came from. You know what I'm saying? So when you're an Israelite, that's tracing your lineage back to your forefathers. When you're a Corinthian, that's tracing you back to where you reside, or your residence, or your citizenship.
Right. So it's location. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
One is location, one is person. Right? Israelite is from a person. Light is from a man. Edomite is from a person.
Right.
Right?
So you can be an Israelite and be a Corinthian, just like you can be an Israelite and be an American.
Right.
Right?
Because we're so-called from the land of America, so they call us Americans. You know what I'm saying? And also, you know, stuff like the ENE, Nazarene, means you're from Nazareth.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
right.
You had strangers in Nazareth. You had people of other nations.
Even Christ was considered a Nazarene, right? That's not saying that he's a Nazarene. It's saying that, you know what I'm saying,
from that area.
He's from that area. But he wasn't even really from that area. He was just agreeing with them just to get him out his hair. You know what I'm saying?
Thou sayest.
Thou sayest.
So this is the book of Colossians chapter 2 and verse 11.
Right.
In whom also ye are circumcised with the circumcision made without hands.
Right.
Spiritual.
Actually, before we get Colossians, I'm sorry, Salaki, let's get Deuteronomy 10 and 15 first. Let's read 10 and 15 through 16, right? Because Colossians 2 and 11 is going to tie it all together, right? Because we're talking about the circumcision, right? And we're going to prove how the same concept of being circumcised in the heart was found in the Old Testament. You got it?
Yeah. This is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 10 and verse 15. Only the Lord had a delight in thy fathers to love them, and he chose their seed after them, even you above all people, as it is this day.
You're in 11, huh? Oh, never mind. You're right.
Verse 16. Circumcise therefore the foreskin of your heart.
Right. Circumcise therefore the foreskin of your heart. He's telling you to circumcise your heart. From the very beginning, it was always never really about the circumcision of your foreskin. It was more so about the circumcision of your heart. Because if your heart was circumcised, right, by default, you was going to circumcise your foreskin. By default, you was going to obey the commandments. You was going to do what he said, right? These outward appearances, right, a lot of them are, although they are commandment and we are to do them, they are symbolism, right? Just like when you get physically baptized in water, right? It's a commandment, but the actual baptism that's going to anchor you is actually getting what you need, right? Being baptized in this word, being able to understand this word. And then once you get that, you know what I'm saying? The symbolism comes with it, right? Because I heard Ox said about 2 months ago, he said, if we're going to be in this, we might as well look the part. We might as well do the part. You know what I'm saying? What business do you have to actually believe these things and not let your business show, right? Or not put the work in, right? Why in the world, even if I was in the world, You know what I'm saying? Why in the world would I want to be a blood but never want to wear red? I want to wear blue all the time. It doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? So when you come into this truth, you picking a side, you got to let your side show. You know what I'm saying? And that's what the symbolism of the foreskin circumcision is. But from the beginning, it was always so that we're supposed to be circumcised in the heart, right? And that's Deuteronomy chapter 10, substantiating that, right? Let's go back to the book of Colossians 2 and 11, right?
This book of Colossians chapter 2 and verse 11. In whom also ye are circumcised with the circumcision made without hands,
right?
And putting off the body of the sins of the flesh,
right,
by the circumcision of Christ.
This is what it means to be circumcised in the heart, right? Believing on Christ, right? That's how you circumcise in the heart, right? So when you have faith in Christ, you believe on Christ, then the circumcision of the hands follows after that. You know what I'm saying? Like Revelations 12 and 14 says, or was it 14 and 12, right? Here are the patience of the saints. Here are those that have the faith and keep the commandments, right? So they go hand in hand. You know what I'm saying? Let's go to the book of Acts chapter 2 and verse 21.
Acts chapter 2 verse 21.
Right?
And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord shall be saved.
Whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord shall be saved. Now, a lot of Christians will go here to say that, hey, look, man, I understand what you're saying. I know God has a chosen people, but how would you rectify this verse? Because it says whosoever. But like I said before, right, we have to put everything in its context. And we can't eisegete or isolate one scripture and make a whole doctrine out of it, or isolate one scripture and say, you know what I'm saying, this says what I wanted to say, and that's what it is, right? And really, you know what I'm saying, I really added this scripture in late. I saw my aunt's post, you know what I'm saying? But really, the Bible's so simple to the point where if they would just read the next verse, they would get their answer on who the whosoever is. So read that next verse. Read it from the top first.
Acts chapter 2 verse 21. And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord shall be saved. Verse 22. Read. Ye men of Israel.
Ye men of Israel, read.
Hear these words.
Hear these words. So who was the audience that he was talking about? He's saying, ye men of Israel, whosoever out of you, if you believe on Christ, you will be saved, right? And that's in its proper context. Because it's always been a pre-requirement for salvation that you be an Israelite, right? We're not saying that because you're an Israelite, you're automatically going to get saved, right? But to be qualified for salvation, you have to be an Israelite, right? That's why it's saying whosoever out of you believe on Christ, them is the kingdom of God, right? Them can be saved. You know what I'm saying? Just like if I was a football coach and I'm in my locker room and I'm talking to my players, I said, man, whosoever wants to win this game, let me hear you, right? Make some noise, right? Am I talking to the other team? No, I'm talking to my team. You know what I'm saying? I don't care about the other team. I'm talking to who's ever in here. So that's the proper context of what it's saying. Read it from the top one more time. Read it all the way through.
Acts chapter 2, verse 21. And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call on the name of the Lord shall be saved.
Right.
Ye men of Israel, hear these words.
Right. Ye men of Israel, hear these words, right? Let's go to the book of Romans chapter 11 and verse 17, right?
All right.
Now we substantiated that the Gentiles in the New Testament, right, are in fact Israelites. Because if you don't know, what happened was a diaspora that took place where you still had certain Israelites, or the Jews, right, that were still keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, right? And then you had a lot of us that went and we did what we wanted to do, right? We got exiled, right, into these heathen nations, taking up these heathen customs, right? To put ourselves in a position to be called a Corinthian, to be called a Roman. You know, you understand? So, and when we realize this whole book is meant for us, right? Because we were committed to the oracles of God, that we know that this book can only be talking about us, right? It's talking about the Israelites. So these Gentiles are Israelites. You got Romans 11 and 17?
Yep.
Read.
This is the book of Romans chapter 11 and verse 17. And if some of the branches be broken off,
if some of the branches be broken off,
and thou being a wild olive tree,
right,
wert grafted in among them.
Right. So Christians will take you here, right? And other philosophers will take you here to be like, hey, look, man, there's two trees. You got the wild olive tree and you got the natural olive tree. The natural olive tree are the Israelites, right? And the wild olive tree are what? The other people. But that's not the case, right? Because just like back in Ezekiel where it says that we were estranged, right, by going to our idols, and then precepting that with 1 Corinthians chapter 12 where it says you were Gentiles carried away from these idols. Just like those idols made us Gentiles, those idols also made us a part of a whole, idols also made us wild branches, right? And we weren't considered natural branches anymore. You see that? So let's get the book of Jeremiah chapter 2 and verse number 27, right? Romans 11 just told us, he's talking to the Gentiles saying that they're from a wild tree, right? They're wild branches. But this is again another concept found from the Old Testament, right? And Paul is not teaching nothing new, right? You got that?
Yeah.
Jeremiah 2 and 21.
2, 21, 27, 21.
21.
This is the book of Jeremiah chapter 2 and verse 21. Yet I had planted thee a noble vine.
Right? Christ planted all the Israelites as a noble vine, right? But what happened?
Holy a right seed.
We were holy to him. We were set apart. We were a right seed. We were a part of the natural branch. But what happened?
How then art thou turned into the degenerate plant?
We were turned into a degenerate plant, read,
of a strange vine.
Of a strange vine.
Unto me.
Unto him, right? So we're a strange vine unto him. He doesn't know us anymore, right? We became a part of that wild branch, right? A part of that wild tree. We're no longer a part of the natural tree. You see? And so let's go to the and that's just another area where you can take a Christian to show them that, hey, look, man, I understand that concept that you're trying to portray to us, but look, it sounds good, but the Bible actually tells us who that wild tree is, who the strange vines are, right? And then you go take them into deep water, right? Because after they acknowledge that, you know what I'm saying, they're really just speaking off of their own understanding, right? Philosophizing.
I'm going to get a little passage in Luke 15 before we move on to show, you know what I'm saying, that it was the Israelites, you know what I'm saying, who was from birth, who were from birth, you know what I'm saying, Israelites, but they turned into Gentiles, right? They left, you know what I'm saying? And this passage is the passage of the prodigal son, you know what I'm saying? So the Gentiles is the Israelites in the New Testament, right? So Luke is also in the New Testament. It's going to tell you that two sons, you know what I'm saying, came from the same father, right? But one son went off, right? So we'll start at Luke 15 and verse 12. And the younger of them, right, of the two sons, said to his father, Father, give me the portion of goods that falleth to me. And he divided unto them his living, right? So they got a portion of land. Like when we came after Joshua and Caleb scoped out the land, they got their portion of land. You know what I'm saying? They became kings on the earth. Other nations feared us for what God did at the Red Sea, what God did at the Jordan. You know what I'm saying? They got their portion that falleth unto them. Verse 13. And not many days after the younger son gathered all together and took his journey into a far country, and there wasted his... Salakia. And not many days after, the younger son gathered all together and took his journey into a far country, right? So it wasn't enough, the land that we was given. It wasn't enough that we was flowing in the land of milk and honey and that we had a God with our own laws, statutes, and commandments, right? And there he wasted his substance with riotous living, right? He took all that and he got drunk off all the wine that was given to him by the other nations. He took all that and he spent his money on harlots with all the shekels and stuff that all the nations gave him.
The stuff that we do today.
Right. You know what I'm saying? And this is an Israelite, right? This is what happens. It says a gift destroyed the heart. The Most High God gifted us a little too soon, I guess. And guess what? It destroyed our hearts. We went a-whoring, right? Verse 14. And when he had spent all, there arose a mighty famine in the land, and he began to be in want, right? So he, you know what I'm saying? He got the gift and he spent it all. The Israelites, they gave it to everybody else, which is what we do on the Sabbath day. We give all our money on the Sabbath day, right? Just like the 5 virgins. We spent all our oil, right? So now when we in need, when the famine comes and we need that light, we don't have it no more. You know what I'm saying? We was that prodigal son, right?
Okay.
Deeper meaning the northern kingdom. They went off,
Okay.
right? I'm going to keep reading a little bit more. Verse 15. And he went and joined himself to a citizen of that country. So guess what? We uprooted from a whole vine and went to a corrupt vine.
God, that's a good point, man, where it says that he went and joined himself with other people, because that's the whole concept of the New Testament and the Gentiles. They went and joined themselves with other people and became and they took on their ways and started becoming to be called those other people as well, right?
Right.
Just like today, if you go to a so-called African American and you ask him who he was, even though he's an Israelite, he only knows himself to be an American. You can't tell him otherwise. And a lot of these people in the New Testament, the only thing they knew is they were Corinthians, right? You ask them their nationality, they say, I'm a Corinthian, right? I'm a black Corinthian. I'm an African Corinthian. You know what I'm saying? And so Paul's job was to go back and tell them, hey, look, this is who you are, and this is what you need to do if you guys want to get the kingdom.
Right? And so you're fine. And so, you know what I'm saying? Luke is a big parable of what the New Testament is all about. The prodigal son, right? Who's the prodigal son? Both the sons was Israelites. One son was a Jew. One son was a Gentile. Because why was he a Gentile? Let me read verse 15. Luke 15 and verse 15. And he went and joined himself to a citizen of that country. And he sent him into his fields to feed swine. Right? So he went and he started eating swine. He started doing things contrary to the law, which gave him that gift in the first place. Right? So he was a corrupt vine. He was no longer a whole vine no more. He didn't have that seed no more in him. He wasted that seed. Right? Deep in meaning. He wasted that seed. All on the ground. You know what I'm saying?
And that's what I'm saying, man. You got some more on that? Because this is what I'm saying, man, that even the parables all throughout the Bible, right? They're not just cool stories, motivational stories, right? Because like we said at the beginning, this whole book is about our people, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, the Israelites, according to the Bible, right? It was written by us, for us, and about us, right? So even the parables link up to what's going on, right? In the bigger picture of what's actually taking place. So you take this parable right here, right, of the prodigal son, and you understand that it's trying to further or on an elementary level explain the whole concept of what Paul's trying to do, right? He's trying to bring back the 2 sons to the father. You know what I'm saying?
I got just a little bit more to read on that. Right? Verse 16 says, and he would have fain and have filled his belly with the husk that the swine did eat, and no man gave unto him. So we got pretty much, you know what I'm saying, sold into slavery. We got told to eat swine, and nobody helped us. Nobody's helping us out here. We're oppressed. Nobody's helping us get good jobs, right? Even when you link up with other black people to help you network, it's still a struggle to get good jobs. It's not just like that. You know what I'm saying? And so verse 18 says, this is the prodigal son, right? That's being oppressed. That's mad. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? He's saying what? I will arise and go to my father and will say unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before thee, right? So basically he's telling us exactly what King Solomon, the covenant that King Solomon had when he made the temple, that this temple will always help us out, paraphrasing, and if we go off, you'll take us back if we say a prayer of repentance and tell you how wicked we are, right? So he said, verse 19, and am no more worthy to be called thy son. Make me as one of thy hired servants, right? We come back to him guilty. We come back to him with ashes and dirt on him.
And that's another point going back to the video from last night, right? Where I brought out Baruch again, right? Where it talks about he came back with a godly sorrow, right? He came back saying, let me be a servant. And not only that, right? When we come back in this thing, we become slaves to Christ. Because of how wicked we were, we become servants. We have to become servants. We gotta go 10 times harder when we come back into this thing, right? Keep going.
Right. And this is the last verse I'm gonna read in it, but this is verse 22. But the father said to his servants Bring forth the best robe and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand and shoes on his feet.
Come, man.
Right? And that goes into what brother was talking about. You know what I'm saying? We got to look the part too. If we come back to our heritage, we got to look the part.
Come.
You know what I'm saying? He's going to put those nice things on us. And that's, through prophecy, that's what he's doing when we put our fringes back on. He said to put the robe on us. He said to put fine mitres on us. That's what we're doing. That's prophetic. He doesn't have to leave his throne to accomplish these things.
People don't understand how powerful it is, even on the symbolic, to even do the things that are symbolic, right? To even look the part, to dress the part, right? Because our people are so lost. A lot of us are only visual. You know what I'm saying? We don't go off of what's written. A lot of times it takes somebody to see, oh, this person really changing his life. He's acting different. He's dressing different. He's walking different. He's talking different, right? A lot of it takes us to see that, to want to join unto the right things, right? Provoking us to righteousness. We got to provoke ourselves to righteousness in these last days because we're so far gone into wickedness, and we think that wickedness look cool, but we got to make this righteousness look cool, right? We got to rehearse these righteous acts. Right? And you know what I'm saying? That's all spiritual. Just like there was a spirit of slumber that made us sleep and do wickedness, it's a spirit of us coming back to our heritage. You know what I'm saying? And that spirit, you know what I'm saying, is remembering what we used to do, how we used to speak, what we used to wear. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to get that real quick in this precept. Jeremiah 12:15. And it shall come to pass after that I have plucked them out, I will return and have compassion on them, right? Just like we read in Luke 15, get the best robe, right? And will bring them again, every man to his heritage. He's going to bring them. Who's the them? The Gentiles. Who are the Gentiles? The Israelites that went off, that came back to the Father. I'll bring them again, every man to his heritage, and every man to his land. Right? So we got two more precepts for you, right? And these last two precepts should be a go-to for every Israelite that's trying. If you're new into the truth and you really don't know how to explain it, right, you can always go to these two precepts, right, just to get your feet wet, just to substantiate what you're trying to say, right. And then when you bring these scriptures to anybody else, right, they're gonna admit that's what it say, and either they can take it or leave it. But the Bible doesn't contradict itself, and the Bible says what it says, and they're gonna have to say that's what it say. Right, so then give me the book of Romans chapter 9 and verse number 25.
Book of Romans chapter 9 and verse 25 reads, as he saith also in OC.
As he says also in Hosea, right? Hosea is the Greek way of saying Hosea, right? Which we know Hosea is in the Old Testament, one of the prophets, right? Keep reading.
I will call them my people.
Now, Christians will go here to say, hey, they'll negate that whole first part where it says, as he says in OC, just to get that second part. What does it say?
As he saith also in Hosea.
They'll put emphasis on this part. Read.
I will call them my people, which were not my people.
Oh, it's clear as day. We know the Israelites are his people. So the only people that can't be his people, right, are the non-Israelites. But we also went over that we became estranged from him, estranged from the Father, right? And we knew that being estranged meaning that he wasn't dealing with us no more, that we weren't his people at that time, right? We also know that we became Gentiles carried away to these dumb idols, right? And so we became estranged from him, or alienated, and it's time for us to get pulled back in, right? And so Romans 9, like he said in Hosea, he was going to call them our people, which were not our people. I mean, them his people, which were not his people, right? And we're going to show you where this whole concept even comes from. Let's go to the book of Hosea,
I'm gonna finish this
chapter
out
1 and verse number 10.
I'm going to finish this out real quick. And her beloved, which was not beloved.
Right? So he's going to call them his people, which are not his people, and his beloved, which is not beloved. This is why it's so important to understand, to get the milk, right, which is the law and the testimonies, before you go into the New Testament. Because if you go into the New Testament blind, you're just going to go off your own understanding, right? And from the naked eye, it seems like it would make sense that these would not be Israelites, right? But having the concepts, taking hold of the concepts, right, of the Old Testament, we understand who he's actually talking about, because these same phraseologies are found within the law and the testimonies. So let's go to the law and the testimonies. Let's go to Hosea chapter 1 and verse number 10.
OC, or Hosea chapter 1 verse 10.
Right, read.
Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea.
Right? The children, so we get the concept, right? I mean, the context, right? He's talking to the children of Israel. He's talking about the children of Israel, right? And what's going to happen to them, read.
Which cannot be measured nor numbered.
Right?
And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people.
He said that we will become not his people. In the place that he said, this is a prophecy, right? Keep reading.
Right, Conan, I want to make a point here. It says that in the place where it was said unto them.
I was going to get there.
Oh, Con. Ye are not my people. There it shall be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living God.
Right. So just like it said in Romans 9, the people that weren't his people, they were going to be called his people. Right. Now, this is a fulfillment of the prophecy in Hosea. Right. He said, there where I called them not my people, they're going to be called my people again. This is a prophecy in Hosea, right, that has to come to pass. A lot of times people don't want to acknowledge the Old Testament, but don't understand that there's a whole bunch of prophecies in the Old Testament that have to come to pass. Right? And so when you don't see them things come to pass, you know that they're still on the table. Right? And so when you get to Romans, you understand that, hey, this is beginning the fulfillment of that prophecy in Hosea. How do we know that? Because he said, as it is written in OC, or as it is written in Hosea, right?
Salakia, and that's a good point too, but that's not the point I was making.
Got it.
The point I was making is, it says that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people. Now, he never said that we were not his people. He said the place told us that we weren't his people, right? When we came off them ships, we knew who we were. When we got here, slowly over time, they call us Negro. They call us nigger. They call us African American, Afro American, right? He allowed us to forget ourselves in that place. So he's not saying that he never said, okay, these are Gentiles now. You're not my people. He never said that. He said in the place where they were called not his people. But he never took that name Israelite off of us. You can't be an Israelite one day and not be an Israelite the next day.
Yeah.
Your actions make you something else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know, the scriptures tell us, you know what I'm saying, who can make something crooked straight? You know what I'm saying? If it was made holy, it was always meant to be holy, right? Even though he put the blinders on us, it doesn't mean that we still weren't his people. That's why in Romans 11, chapter 1, it says, has God done away with his chosen people? God forbid. He would never, right? It was always an illusion or a delusion or a blindness that he put upon us to make it seem that way, right? As a chastisement. Right. You know what I'm saying?
And that's a cut, man, to all the Christian folk that want to say, you know, he said that the people that weren't his people would be his people. He never said that. He said in the place where you were called not my people. Because you tell somebody you're an Israelite today, you can tell a black person you're an Israelite, they're going to be like, come on now, we're not the Israelites. You see how ghetto and ratchet we are? We're not the priests and the prophets. You tell a white person, they're not going to believe that. You tell a Jewish person, they're going to argue you to your face, till they red in the face, right? You tell your grandmother, you tell anybody that you're the Israelites, and they're going to say you're not his people in this place, this wicked place called America, and in all these places of the earth. So he's getting us from all places of the earth, right? Gathering us from all places of the earth where it says we were not his people. Right. And he's going to make us his people again and give us that road.
And like the brother was saying, man, and that's what Paul's job was, right? The same job that we have, right? And that's why it was so hard for him to relay this message, just like it's hard for us to relay this message to our people, because we've been indoctrinated to believe that we weren't his people. That telling us that we are his people, right? It's kind of hard to fathom, right? But it's the task that we have had set upon us, right? And that we have to do, that we signed up for when we come into this truth, right? So for any Israelite that wants to substantiate that these Gentiles in the New Testament are in fact Israelites, me personally, I recommend your go to Romans 11 and 17, and he's gonna tell you to go to Hosea. And once you go to Hosea, they gotta admit, hey, it is what it is. It say what it say, right?
Here's a quick cut too, you know what I'm saying, before we wrap it up. You about to be done?
That was it. I was about to wrap it up.
Well, before we wrap it up, this is a quick cut too. because they love going to the orphan, right? Who are the orphans? Who did the Old Testament say were the orphans, right? I'm going to get it first in Romans 9 because they love Romans 9 and Israelites love Romans 9 too, right? Romans 9, he says, who are Israelites, verse 4, who are Israelites to whom pertaineth the adoption? Who's being adopted? The orphans. Who are the orphans, right? Let's go back to the Old Testament, Lamentations, when Jeremiah was crying out to his people. You know what I'm saying? Crying out to God. That's what lament means, right? He was in mourning. Lamentations 5 and 3. We are orphans and fatherless. Our mothers are as widows. That's spiritual and physical. We taking on the curses. Our parents leaving the house. We got single parenthoods. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And that's spiritual. We look to every other God. We ask and add sin to sin. Ask every other God except for our God. We're the true orphans. We're the ones that pertain the adoption that Paul was talking about in Romans 9. We're the Gentiles that's being brought back to our heritage.
Read Romans 9 all the way from the top to, I think, about around verse number 5.
Romans chapter 9 and verse 1. I say the truth in Christ, I lie not.
And we're going to end on this.
My conscience also bearing me witness in the Holy Ghost, that I have great heaviness and continual sorrow in my heart. For I could wish that myself were accursed from Christ, for my brethren, my kinsmen, according to the flesh.
According to the flesh, who are what?
Who are Israelites.
Who are Israelites.
To whom pertaineth the adoption.
What pertains to the Israelites?
The adoption.
Read.
And the glory.
And the glory.
And the covenants.
Right.
And
both the covenants, old and new.
And the giving of the law.
Right.
And the service of God.
Right.
And the promises.
Right.
Let's go.
Romans 9 right there off rip tells you that all these things belong to the Israelites. Right.
And we can go to Hebrews 8 and 8 real quick.
All right, we'll end on that one. Hebrews 8 and 8. Last one, man.
Because, you know what I'm saying? We went over the adoption. We went over, carried away the dumb idols. And it also said the covenants. So let's see who this covenant is for. Right? Hebrews 8 and 8. Really? For finding fault with them, he saith, behold, the days come, saith the Lord. What day is this? When I will make a new covenant. Right? We all know the old covenant was with who?
Right.
In the wilderness.
And this is the whole concept of the New Testament, right? He's bringing a new covenant because the old covenant failed. So he's bidding people to the new covenant, and we're going to find out who those people are. He's bidding to the new covenant. It's still the same people. Read. Right.
In the wilderness, they made a covenant with who? The Israelites. So let's read. When I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel.
Right.
And with the house of Judah.
Right. He's talking about the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom, right? The Israelites, right? So the new covenant, and that's in the New Testament. That's a cut. It's in Hebrews, right? When you want to find out who the New Testament is for, right? In the New Testament, it says what it says. You got to admit that's what it says, right? And so Hebrews 8 and 8, the covenants for us, right? Romans 9, the covenants, the adoption, the glory, the giving of the law, the service of God, all pertain to us, right? The oracles. And you know what else pertains to us? The Gentiles in the New Testament, right? And with that, I say shalom, Shabbat shalom, and we about to head to camp. Hold up, bro.